As an educator, we don't understand all of the ways that we impact kids on a daily basis.
Right.
So success for me has always been growth. And that's probably actually one of my favorite things about being an administrator is watching kids who come in behaving a certain way and their mannerisms a certain way, and then that growth as they walk across that stage and you think, they made it. And I would tell my kids, I don't care for all A's.
Right.
I want you to do your best and you to have success and feel that success and pride in yourself.
And I listen to so many students post-graduation. I'm sure you have too, say, I wasn't one of the popular kids. I wasn't in student counseling. I wasn't in whatever. And I wasn't in whatever. And what I think is we missed a mark as educators because we let that child focus too much on what they weren't than instead of the magic of who they were.
I really firmly believe that our teachers need to see that. Every person in that classroom, they're not troublemakers. They're somebody's kid. And they come with all of these pieces, and we have to figure out who they are in order to teach them. But if we recognize that dignity in them, that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with trying to see them as individual people.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again today as we continue our series, The Ripple Effect of a Teacher. I'm Cathy Tooley, and I'm thrilled to death to have you with me. And today I am joined with the one, the only, the Carrie. Now, Carrie and I go a long way back. I have to tell you a little fun story about Carrie before I read all the, the important bio stuff of her. Back in the day when I very first started the company, so this has been 10 years ago. I've had the company now for 10 years. Cardinal Ritter, which is the school where she is currently principal, was one of our school partners. And back before I had consultants working for us, I went to Carrie's building. Carrie was teaching English
and department chair.
Yes, and department chair. And so I got to know Carrie as an incredible educator that she is, and then watched her now be in the principal role. So she's been at Cardinal Ritter now for 6 years, but she was a high school English teacher. And see, that's probably also why Carrie and I are like kindred spirits, because I too was an English teacher. Carrie was an English teacher, and then a mom of 3 boys. Is your youngest?
A junior at my high school.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And then, of course, married and all the lovely things, loving traveling, doing all those. So, again, like I did all the other administrators, teachers, because Carrie's, spent time in the classroom too. I sent them a series of topics, and Carrie picked today, remembering the magic of the classroom. Oh, it's such a, because I kind of told everyone, pray on what hits you. And as many of you watching this podcast know, we lose sight of that. We get so busy in the stuff that the intention of this podcast through the amazing voice of Carrie is to get to celebrate again the magic that is the classroom. So, Carrie, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So tell me about a success story that you had that you didn't see coming.
I think as a teacher, you always see the kids that you connect with, right? They're the kids who stick around after class. And I was the student council advisor. And so I worked with a lot of kids. And so I could pick out the kids that I figured, we got along well.
What did they say? Sit in the T of the classroom, right? They sit in the T of the classroom.
Right. That's right.
Non-teachers.
That's right.
It's a joke that all the kids that really connect with you sit straight here or right. They form a T in your classroom. We call it, isn't it called still? The T. I remember hearing it. Okay, sorry. Sidebar. Anyway.
That's okay. So, I've taught many, many years, and I've got an email a couple years ago, and I've received emails before from kids who've graduated. It's such a nice feeling, right? And, we keep them.
You print them, you put them in a basket.
Yes.
You see how we keep coming back to that?
Yes, I have a file at home and a file at work. Yes. Right. And you pull them out every once in a while. Yeah. But this one was from a student. I was just really surprised because this was a student who struggled in my class. A student who was an honors class. She didn't always do her work. She struggled because she didn't always get her homework done. And I always encouraged her, but I never felt a strong connection because she wasn't one who was going to work super hard for me. We always got along.
This is an honors course.
Right. We always got along, but I never thought that I was reaching her because I didn't see the success that I would see from other students. Well, a couple years ago, this young lady's graduated now for a few years, and I get this email that says, I appreciate you, and I appreciate that you didn't stop pushing me, that you just kept at me to do my best. And I really appreciate that you had that faith in me and you didn't give up on me. And I was so taken back by this email because as an educator, again, we don't understand all of the ways that we impact kids on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Because again, I wouldn't have seen this coming. And also the neat thing about this young lady was I saw her after this email at her place of work, and she's now in a management position at a very reputable company. And I got to see this young lady in action, and I got to see her
Who was it? The
flourishing.
Girl you saw?
No,
Yeah.
not the girl I saw. And I thought, wow, not only is she successful, she has a job where she's showing her leadership skills. She also had the thought to respond, like to let her teacher know, her high school English teacher, to know that I made a difference. And I thought, wow, I didn't know. I would have had no idea that I made an impact on this young lady. And that was a success I didn't see coming because it wasn't obvious in the moment.
Right, for sure.
If we're going to look in the grade book and we're going to say success is an A or a B in an honors course, or
that's right.
This student became a reader, whatever. Those are some of the success criteria we would say. And I didn't see those in her.
Right. For what the world would have measured as success, she wasn't there.
Exactly.
She wasn't there.
Exactly.
Yeah. We just did a podcast on what we don't see.
Yes.
It's kind of behind the curtain. And that's
absolutely.
You're talking about what we don't see. You know what I wonder, Carrie, how is it that, because I think kids think we measure success by an A or a B.
Absolutely.
Help those that are listening to this, not just in my voice, but in yours. What is success to you from a kid? How do you measure success? Because I really think kids have stories that, if I don't get an A, that you don't like me.
Oh.
Or because you've heard those.
Right.
I didn't do well in her class.
Sure.
She probably didn't like me. I know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it that we see success in students? What does that look like to us?
Well, I think it's different now that I'm in administration.
For sure.
And I do appreciate this time in my life getting to see it from a different perspective.
For sure.
I always, as a classroom teacher, I found success as kids who grew. Mm-hmm. And maybe it didn't have to be an A or a B, because let me tell you, I taught all levels of students and I could find success. Success could be just figuring out how to write a great email.
Betcha.
It could be enjoying reading. That could be a great success. So,
or actually reading.
Exactly.
When you had never read to start with.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Because
so
someone told you couldn't read.
Right. Or you would have been the kid in high school who would come out of high school saying, I never finished a book. I mean, we hear adults saying that,
for
right?
Sure.
Somehow I made it through high school without reading a book.
Right.
So success for me has always been growth. So it's growth in getting better. It's growth in mindset. It's growth in I'm going to try now. It's growth in I'm going to attempt to do what you're asking of me. So success to me looks like that growth piece. And then for me as administrator, I do like this piece because as an administrator, I get to deal with kids who cause some trouble sometimes, right?
Of course we do. Yes.
And so
we don't always see the shining stars.
We do not. That's right.
They are in classes where they belong.
That's right. But when I see growth of a kid who has learned how to behave, learned how to
watch their tongue,
how they can express themselves in positive ways, how they learn how to interact with their peers. That's success. And I love getting to see that from kids. And that's probably actually one of my favorite things about being an administrator is watching kids who come in behaving a certain way and their mannerisms a certain way. And then that growth as they walk across that stage and you think, they made it. And they made it in a beautiful way. They grew. They are changed by their time here, by the people they've been around, the teachers that have impacted them. So success looks different for me as an administrator because I wouldn't have really dealt with a lot of the discipline problems in my classroom. But as a principal, I get to see that side too.
Yeah, I wished if there's anyone watching this podcast that has those stories that, Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so didn't like me because I never got an A or B in their class.
Oh, so not true.
Interrupts.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I know I'm speaking for myself and many people that I know, and I'm sure you are too. I never thought that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Never considered it. Never never gave it a thought. And I think too, and I love what you said about success, even the kids that were, quote, the trouble to me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them with such a fondness.
Exactly.
They, because they caused me a little challenge too.
They did. Yeah. They help us grow.
They do.
Yeah.
We just did a podcast about how learning goes both ways in education.
Absolutely.
And how I learned a different tactic to help them grow.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and I know you're not going to like this question, so I'm going to wield it on you.
Okay.
You're not going to like it. How have you helped a student grow? Because we hate talking about ourselves, don't we?
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Like, I could talk about my teachers all day long. I tell you what my teachers did, but how have you? Tell me a story. Tell me a kid. Tell me a moment where you thought maybe it is that graduation, maybe it is that freshman to sophomore. Because I don't know what happens between their freshman and sophomore years, but something happens.
I will say that I work a lot with the freshmen who are in academic trouble, and I will say that I can think of a young man that I met with him his freshman year and just really struggling academically. And it was a combination of other resources in the building, making sure he's going to tutoring, he's visiting with his teachers, but also just those check-ins with him, seeing him in the hallways. How's it going? How are you doing? Taking the time to find his interest. Even though it's supposed to be a difficult conversation, right? You're calling a kid in, okay, what's going on academically? But in those meetings, in those times with those kids, I sure enjoy talking to them. Okay, what do you like to do after school? What is it that you do for fun? Tell me about a teacher here that you like that's you're connecting with, or tell me about and tell me about a class where you're struggling. And so this young man that I'm thinking of, watching him and the excitement in him when it's, hey, can I show you my grades? When he's coming to me now, can I show you my grades? And that pride, right? Because that's one of the hardest things, is to get the kids to care who've maybe not had the experience of feeling what or having that experience of an A or a B or a C even. And so watching this young man who's a junior now, not in any kind of grade trouble, finding his own, playing in sports and getting involved in things, and just that pride and self-confidence I see in him. Yeah, and that started with the conversation as a freshman.
You betcha. So much of the magic of what happens in the classroom isn't about that letter grade. Because did you notice that nowhere in that did you talk about the success when he shows you your grades that you counted how many A's and B's he had?
No.
Those are lovely.
Right.
And I'm not disrespecting an academically strong GPA. I mean, those are great and important things, but that's not what you're talking about.
Right.
What you're talking about is just the difference in the success that we get.
Well, right, because you and I both know that there are kids who could sit in a classroom and because they have great memories, they're truly gifted. Exactly.
That's right.
So they don't have to work as hard.
That's right.
So when you have a kid who's struggling academically and they've got to figure that out for themselves, that is true success.
That's it.
And it doesn't mean an A necessarily.
That's it. Well, you have children yourself, and I'm sure you've seen academically in your own children. Some of your children have to work way more than others do. I saw it in my own children, and I'm not more or less proud of the academic achievements of any of them. What I'm proud of is that regardless of what difficulties or struggles they had, that they still found academic success.
Right. Yes.
Whatever that was for them.
Exactly. And and you could see when they're doing their best.
That's it.
And I would tell my kids, I don't care for all A's. Right. I want you to do your best and you to have success and feel that success and pride in yourself. I'm going to be proud of you if you have A's and B's and C's. I'm going to be proud. If you have a D or F, it's probably because you're not doing your homework.
That's right.
So you're not balancing your time. That's right.
That's right.
But your success is based on what you need for yourself, because all my kids need different things.
For sure. How is it that you think that, because I think it's bigger than this. How is it that you think that being in education and us helping students find success and defining what success is really impacts the world and future generations?
Well, I'll go back to just the young man I was talking about, that self-confidence piece, right? If our kids can't find that confidence in themselves, that they can do something, then how do we have any hope, right? Because
no hope.
How do you get up and go on the next morning if you are consistently feeling like a failure? So you have to have that confidence in yourself, and our kids have to have that in order to go out and be a citizen in the world. They have to feel that.
Yeah, I think about what is so demanded of kids today, in that, you and I, we're about the same age. We went to school memorizing lots of facts and learning lots of things that they don't have to do anymore. And we've had to shift as educators ourselves in what we expect of our students. But the world that they're going out into is changing so fast that if we don't teach them to think or how to problem solve, we're really doing them a disservice.
Absolutely.
And the magic truly isn't about the subject. I hope anyone who's watching this podcast catches on to that. Have you really noticed Carrie and I talking about, well, we both love ELA.
Absolutely.
We are partial.
That's
We're not
right.
even hiding our partiality to it. We love you math teachers out there, more or less, but we really, really love, because we're language teachers. But have you seen or heard us spending so much time on that?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's the magic in the classroom.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think the magic happens in when they learn about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has to be, as you said, you were in charge of the student council. Not everyone belongs in student council.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I listen to so many students post-graduation, I'm sure you have too, say, I wasn't one of the popular kids. I wasn't in student council, and I wasn't in whatever, and I wasn't in whatever. And what I think is we missed a mark as educators because we've let that child focus too much on what they weren't than instead of the magic of who they were.
Right.
We missed the mark. We missed the mark that not everyone is a student council person or a band person or clearly I am not an athlete. I've never been an athlete, but that doesn't mean I didn't have gifts in other areas. So I think that for me is the true magic of a classroom, is having a student really understand what their success is and what that means. Okay, if you could lead us, because we just have a few minutes left, with this secret bullet for you. If you, to anyone that's watching this podcast today, and you get to tell them, I want you to finish this sentence for me. The true magic in a classroom happens when? And I know I winged that on you.
You did. You did. When the teacher respects the dignity of all the kids in the classroom, and that dignity and understanding that every person needs to feel that from a teacher. When that doesn't happen, I don't think learning can happen. So I really firmly believe that our teachers need to see that. Every person in that classroom, they're not troublemakers. They're somebody's kid. And they come with all of these pieces, and we have to figure out who they are in order to teach them. But if we recognize that dignity in them, that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with trying to see them as individual people, and all of the cares and worries and understanding they come with all these things that we have to figure out how to get them to teach.
True,
and we have to sift through.
Get English through to them.
Yes, we do. Yes. But we have to start with showing them that we care through treating them with dignity.
Isn't that the bigger picture even in our lives?
Absolutely.
Dignity, we want to see dignity and respected in our marriages.
Absolutely.
In our parenting, in our employment.
Right. And in our world, because, I mean, if you look at it, if we were to treat others with dignity just because they are people, we would have a different world. That's not where we start. You're different from me, so you don't deserve that dignity. So we constantly do that as a society.
You're not achieving what I think you should be, so therefore you don't get my
right.
best
Or
teaching.
right, or you are this, or you're in this class, or you look like this. Whatever it is, we put people and we strip them of their dignity when we put them in those boxes.
So that to me is the magic.
Absolutely.
The magic is to truly see students with dignity, with respect and dignity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the years that
Thanks for having me.
I laughingly say that I get to do what I do, but you really get to go back to the trenches.
I do.
And forever grateful for that. So
thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching. This has been insightful for me too. I never thought about truly the magic of teaching, being in respecting each of our dignity. What a different world we would have.
Absolutely.
What a different world we have if we just respected each other dignity. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.